Okay, so I've recently had a lot of emails. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this to you guys. I recently resigned from one of my jobs, so I've just freed up a bunch of time. So you're going to be getting a lot more videos on a lot more upcoming basis when it comes to daily basis, weekly basis. I may even just do like 5 or 6 a day. Now, I won't do that. That'd be too much. It might actually overload my computer. But I will be uploading videos a lot faster. I resign in about 3 weeks now. 3 weeks, 2 days. And yeah, I'm going to put in like pretty much full time into my other projects, such as my photography, my videography, such as these videos out here. I'll also be able to squeeze in more time for consultations. But aside from that, people have been emailing me, asking me about specific things, and I've decided to take my time to contribute my perspective on certain attributes of spirituality which may worry certain people. And I will give you the solutions as to how to get around that, or based upon my solutions and what I do in order to help resolve these hiccups. So we live in a fear-based collective society. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm pretty sure you do. You turn on the news and something bad's on the news. You open up the newspaper and there's nothing but crap on there. You sit in a group surrounded by strangers or surrounded by friends and family, and the first thing that often comes out of people's mouths is a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of things that you can't relate to, which don't happen within your general bubble of life when it comes to what you perceive to be your reality or your third dimensional experience. And they tend to vent negative states of existence that happens elsewhere on the planet, and in doing so it makes you feel down. It may not make you feel down, but you can tell it makes other people feel down, especially when they start talking about certain things that have recently happened in the news, such as Robbie Williams actually passing. Just put it that way, he passed, and a lot of people started bringing this up into my face, and I'm a particular knowledgeable person when it comes to who I should distance myself from based upon their specific type of frequency which they choose to inhabit and admit, such as these aspects of experiences within the collective consciousness which are negative, which are, when you inhabit such information, it doesn't make you feel good, and it can actually just put you straight backwards from where you want to be. Because I'm all about deliberately noticing this certain stuff so that you can deliberately express yourself in the highest possible light, so you can deliberately feel at ease rather than unease when it comes to how you feel emotionally, and this obviously has a knock-on effect with your thoughts throughout the rest of the day. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, because in this society, in this collective, obviously you've got things that other people can't see. Say you're an entity that feeds on a lower realm, that exists within a lower realm, and a lot of people can't see you, But what people don't understand is when you vibrate this low, when you create like a cloud, of negativity, there are things in other states of dimensions which feel this, and they get drawn to you like a magnet. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of people want to know how to protect themselves when it comes to astral projection. They want to know how to protect their environment, mainly. And understand this when I say this. When I say protection, if you're going to do what I tell you to do, if you're interested in actually protecting yourself fully, you need to understand that the level of complexity, how deep we're going to go into actually protecting yourself, it's going to put you in certain environments which will be different to yours now, most likely. Because I could tell you to do certain things, I can tell you to put certain stones around your environment. It's going to change your energy, change your thoughts, and it's going to make you stretch your boundaries, make you stretch your comfort zone to the point where you may possibly move to a completely different environment. And now, if I would have told myself this about 2 years ago, saying, hey Ryan, at some point you're going to move to a different country because you know what, you're not going to want to stay here because you're going to start to realize that this place is quite dense. I probably would have thought, no way am I going to move out this country because I feel pretty grounded here, so to speak. But really, 2 years ago, when it comes to grounding, I was just filtering through other people's energy, which everyone else is filtering through. And you know what I found out, which is actually quite dramatically hilarious? No one actually has their own thoughts. No one actually says or speaks from the source of existence. No one actually chooses the thoughts that they are conveying through their mouth, which is actually kind of hilarious. And you may be sat there thinking, how does that make sense? Well, think about it this way. If you've ever had an idea and you've spoken out that idea, and then you've looked online, I've actually done this a few times, it's really extremely annoying, and somebody else has already had that idea and they've invented it already. You know, I said to my mum, hey mum, one day they're going to have chargers for your phone, which you don't need to plug them in, you just need to put them over the top and it will charge the phone. A month later, a new invention comes out. They're showing on the documentary channel that they're going through this lab and that there are these people who are actually designing this technology already and they're actually ready to market, and I think they've already marketed it within the next year after we actually saw this documentary. And you know, my mom was like, you were saying about this, and I was like, yeah, well, of course. You know, the reason for this is because when it comes to the collective consciousness, there's literally like a web which expands around this entire globe, and we are like obelisks. Humans are like obelisks. We're like crystals that emit energy of conscious thought into the grid, which then go around other people, which then go through other people, which then change their thoughts. So you're basically, this entire planet, anything living on it, is basically sharing thoughts. We're like one giant brain, if you think about it that way. So no one's actually ever thinking of something completely out of nothing because it's already existed. And this is why a lot of people who get negative, you're basically channeling other people's negativity, but you're unconsciously choosing to do it. So just knowing this, you can protect yourself from other aspects of consciousness, from channeling through your vessel, which then alters your experience on the 3D, which then stops you from basically living a nightmare, you know, in this third dimension. Because if you're in a dream and you're filtering through or emitting negative energy in a dream, the entire environment changes to a negative one. And the same thing happens in the third dimension, depending on how far you're willing to stretch or you're willing to expand or alter your consciousness. You know, you can be conscious of this energy and then deliberately choose to change it, which then your entire third dimensional state completely changes. Or you can just choose to stay in a negative fear-based one, anxiety one, and never go anywhere at all. But you're still taking part in that negative energy. That's why you're still in the same place you are today. But how to fix negative energy? Well, I'm going to tell you something, guys. I am a fan of black rocks. A black rock. And this one is Oramus, I believe it might be. It might not be. This rock, I'm going to put these down because every time I hold a rock, I can barely speak. It's strange. I'm going to put it somewhere where you guys can see it. You've seen it. The black stones, what they do is they filter out this negative collective consciousness which is being stored within the cells of your being, within your body, within the inhabitants of your other energy bodies, and it unblocks everything. Now, the unblocking during the black stones will make you, depending on how much you've got in you, if you're not conscious of the energy, it will make you quite negative. Maybe you'll carry one of these around with you, then you become really depressed. I noticed this with me before I became conscious of noticing energy filtering through me. I'm going to show you how to notice it later on in this video. I held these stones, and I had a tourmaline one, which I actually hold underneath my pillow, and the black tourmaline, and I wore this thing for about a week. Yeah, and I noticed how straight away I started wearing black clothes. I started thinking extremely. It wasn't like I was trying to think of the negative thoughts, they were just coming up. And they were just coming into my being, into my consciousness, into my provisional vision, I guess you can call it like that. And I started expressing these negative thoughts unconsciously. And I knew it had something to do with the rocks and what I was trying to do. But what you need to understand is, in a dream, if you close your eyes and you imagine creating something, even in a dream, you're not conscious that you created it, right? but there's still that slight slither of consciousness which still belongs to you. You created it, so you still know it's you. Like if you create another version of yourself inside your head, you can make it talk, make it do things. But if you lose consciousness, you're gonna be less aware that you're making it talk, and you can start believing that you're actually interacting with a separate being, which you're not. And it happens in other dimensions as well. It's happening in the third dimension with everyone. Everyone here, for some reason, seems to think that we're all separate from each other, but it's exactly the same thing that's happened when you go into a dream. Now, when you look at this, like I said, there's always something there that connects you back to who or what you actually are. And when you become extremely conscious of this, I found when you look at trees and stuff, you feel your energy inside it. It's strange, but it's like you can feel the source of everything, which is you, which is consciousness. And another way to get to grips with this, like I said, is when you're lucid in a dream, you can feel the source that you are coming off the source. You are basically the source in the dream, which is creating everything, right? So it's the same thing in the third dimension. And when you find that anchor point, when you're grounded into who you are and what actually everything is, then you start to notice the extra energy which you are filtering through, which are projecting and creating your thoughts, which are holding you back from certain things. And that is when you can actually start using the black stones, because when you can notice the energy and you notice yourself, you can feel the separate energies. Okay, there's you, and then there's the negative energy. You can notice the difference. Therefore, you won't get mistaken as to believing that you are the negative energy. Therefore, you can make decisions better on how to dispose of the energy rather than acting it out, or even worse, making it grow and then just ending up with more of it. You know, so black stones are pretty much the best. Now, obviously, there are more than just one black stone. There's tourmaline, like I said, and there are a whole host of other stones. You don't have to just take it off this video, go look it up. It's pretty amazing as to which types of stones are more powerful. And that's going to do it for the black stone. Now, I've taken quite a few stones. I'm going to talk about them in this video. I'm going to talk about them related to their terms when it comes to the point I'm making through this video. There is this stone, you know, remember when I was talking about the source of everything, how you're infallibly, when you're connected to everything, right? Well, there is a specific stone called Ulexite, or TV stone, and I call this the God stone because this vibrates at source energy. So there is a faster way of actually tapping into this energy. Now, if you decide to buy this, and I want you to buy this. You know, you're not gonna buy it from me, obviously. There's other places to get this, but I want you guys to buy this stone because what it does is it's like it's from the source itself. Like it vibrates on closest. This is the closest thing I found that vibrates closest to the source. So you can probably feel it through the camera as I'm about to show you in a minute. But long story short, I had a small one. I used to carry it with me to work because every time I came across a certain type of energy which I knew was separate, I would touch the rock and my entire being would vibrate at the frequency of the rock, which will assure me and ground me into source self rather than me taking through other people's energy, right? And you know, during these days when I'm not taking YouTube videos, I am learning and expanding certain stuff which I'm going to bring to being through these videos. And this is one of the things that I actually came up with, which is helping me make this video. So this stone is amazing, and I lost the mini stone, the small one that I had. I took it to the park to walk my dog, and I started doing some handstands and some free running and stuff because I like to skateboard now and then. I like to do a lot of stuff. You know, I'm quite a physically active person in the third dimensional body as well as the other bodies. And I believe I had it in my pocket. I must have done a handstand or some sort of B-twist or some sort of flip, where I was upside down and it must have fell out. But I lost it, and it made me slightly upset. You know, it's like losing a hand. You know, when you're attached to something, it's like everything's an extension of yourself, especially crystals and gemstones. So that being said, I decided to buy a new one, and now a lot of you are probably thinking, what is that? What is that? That looks kind of weird. I'll tell you what this is. This is Ulexite. It's TV stone. TV stone. And it's pretty cool because it's pretty big as well. And it feels amazing. Like I can like the unconscious energy that goes through this third dimensional construct, which is manifesting it into the third dimension. You can feel the source consciousness, which is being radiated and emitted through multidimensional layers in order to help this pre-exist and manifest within this state of consciousness when it comes to the third dimension. And it's helping me actually, and when you rub it with your thumb, that really does help you tap into it. You know, and when you tap into things like this, when you stop thinking that you are all the same, no, when you stop thinking that you are all separate, when you start to realize that you are all the same with everything, because like if you've seen my video Astral Projection, Full Course Identity Crisis, you know what I'm talking about. Everything becomes a living extension of yourself. And you realize pretty quickly that there are two sides to things. There is source energy, and then there is like dark energy. Like it's like a separate type of energy which is being flowing through source, which people are deliberately unconsciously choosing to manifest or to channel, which is then creating their third dimensional experience. Plants know this. Here's my plant. This is a really good friend of mine. Plants know this. Okay. What else knows this? Trees know this. Clouds know this. Water knows this. Everything knows this already. But it's funny that the things that know this are the things that can't speak. Animals know this, even. Animals, the energy of animals, the energy that animals emit is a very animalistic energy. And I find often if I don't walk my dog enough, he tends to build up this animalistic energy, and it stops him from connecting to me and other members of the family on a more intellectual level, which is why I believe that we should live in a society where we're not being groomed and we're not being attacked and we're not being focused on when it comes to our negative attributes to the third dimensional body, because the third dimensional body does have a layer to it which is more animalistic. This manifests in certain areas of the brain which contributes to certain reptilian type of thinking, and it does make us more like animals. And the more you start to eat meat and the more you start to do certain things such as, you know, you tend to become more of an animal and you start to lose your connection to source. This is also another energy, negative energy, which you most likely won't become aware of until you become a source self, which means you often need to sit with yourself, your consciousness, and you need to detach from the third dimensional body, detach from the energies of this matrix of thought, of the collective, and you need to find your roots as to what you actually are as a divine being, a light being. And you need to filter out all the energy. Now, there is another way to clean yourself and your room and like everything. I'm going to go get that right now. Hopefully this camera won't defocus. Right, it's back. Now, Sage, somebody wanted me to expand upon this because they saw it in one of my previous videos when they saw it on my dashboard, and they wanted me to make an entire video on this particular herb, if you like. Now, sage can be made into a tea, it can be put in food. It's really a wonderful cleansing type thing. Now, back to when I was talking about the collective consciousness. If you connect to source and you connect into the grid of everything and everyone and everyone's thoughts and the energy behind the thought, the emotion behind the thought, can you imagine how many people have actually used this to cleanse their entire room or their house before ceremonies, births, rituals, you name it? Thousands upon generations of people and beings throughout the course of history have been using sage. Now, if you can tap into every event, their energy and their consciousness, and channel it through into your body, what's going to happen is you're going to resonate on that protection frequency, and it's gonna manifest in the third dimension through you using this tool. And you light the end up, very simple, and you sage everything. Now people call this a smudge stick, I just called it as it is, it's sage. And you want to go through your entire room. You want to smudge out the corners of your room, under your bed. If you've got anything lying around in your room that's been in your room for about 2 or 3 days, or a lot of people nowadays, their rooms are very messy, clean it up, clean that crap out of your room, get it out as fast as you can. Why? Because say you're having an off day and you're wearing black, okay? I've noticed this in myself. If I wear the same clothes the next day, when in the morning I'm feeling fresh and fine, straight away, as soon as I put it on, it alters my frequency and it makes me feel the same way as I used to feel the day before. That energy, if it's sat in your room, will bleed out and just fill that area of your room of that type of energy, right? It's good energy and bad energy, it doesn't matter. I tend to wear, if I'm feeling down one day, I will wear the clothes I wore where I felt pretty stable, pretty conscious, pretty fixed, pretty happy. And I'll wear that on and straight away my energy will shift. So you want to clean out your room, you want to dust everything, get anything out, you know. If you've got objects that you've attached to, whether it be beings that have given you these objects, loved ones that you no longer see, if you're attached to anything in your room, get it out, because it's going to hold energy, which will make you not only filter through the energy, and if you filter through the energy and your spirit or your life experiences, you've had an experience on it, and that energy that's been in that experience has attached itself to an object which you hold in the present, what's going to happen is that energy is going to go through you, and every now and then you're going to get memories of that specific spirit point. I'm going to call them spirit points, because recently I've been dealing with the soul and the spirit, and that's actually smashed me when it comes to memories. I've been getting a lot of memories when it comes to the energies that I used to hold, the negative energies and the positive energies, and the different types of energies which contribute to my physical third dimensional makeup when it comes to how actually young I am, you know, how my body used to be, how I used to behave and why I used to behave that certain way. And it's an entire video in and of itself when it comes to the spirit, the soul, and how to actually go back in time and come forward, and then go forward in time, predict, and how to shape-shift things around when it comes to manipulating reality. Because you need to get to a point where your soul and your spirit are basically the same thing, and that's when you can primarily manifest anything and everything that you want to manifest. But that'll be in a new video. And also the video where I'm talking about the juice, the detox pineal gland, that'll also come up in another video. I'm just recently, I went to buy the stuff for it yesterday, but I couldn't get to a store which had enough of it. So, yeah, sage, cleanse your room out. You need to find the soul, your source self. You need to be able to distinctively distinguish the specific types of energies within your environment, what you're channeling through. The easiest way to do this is to use this stone, I reckon, or just to look at things and to find the connection between you two. It'll be like a specific feeling, like you know something about it that's connected to you. It's life. You admit consciousness, you admit life. It's a different type of feeling to when you're asleep. It's a different type of feeling that's in other inanimate objects. You admit life and consciousness and thought. When you distinguish these thoughts, when you get rid of and ignore the opposite thoughts which inhibit your consciousness, drinking of the alcohol, thinking negative thoughts which make you fall into self-delusional concepts of third-dimensional reality which make you think that you're like everyone else, to the point where you start thinking like everyone else, so now you're just letting in a whole floodgate of energies which are just floating around in the collective consciousness, which are only there to serve as dampeners to keep you trapped within the third dimensional dense state of negative thoughts, which just make a negative person. And when you astral project, this will manifest within the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and the third dimension. All the dimensions that you go to, as a conscious divine soul, when you go to any plane of existence, the energy you carry will manifest or direct you to a different state of existence, whether it be in the third dimension or in other dimensions, which will ultimately create a negative experience or a positive experience. A lot of people out there are emailing me, telling me out how negative they are, and they're asking me whether they should do it. Look, if you know you're a negative person, you shouldn't be asking me if you should do it. And that should sound like common sense to you right about now, because when I feel like I've not cleansed enough when it comes to getting out the energy, when I feel like there's something there, I either have to meditate on that for a couple of days, get it out with me, or it will even take like 10-15 minutes depending on what type of meditation I do, and then I'll deliberately choose to then astral project. There are times when you can astral project and there are times when you can't. So this is my quick video on sage and cleansing crystals, and I just shared with you a few techniques as to how it is you can actually find source, and all you got to do is sit with yourself, really. You know, be honest with yourself. You're not behaving the way you should be behaving if you're in a specific state of consciousness which is detrimental to your growth and expansion. Maybe you're hanging out with certain amounts of people which are pretty negative, right? And you need to be able to see that within yourself, what it is or what aspects of energy are in you which are actually stopping you from progressing. And you need to let go, is what I'm saying. It takes a lot of time. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes honesty, it takes a specific type of individual, it takes a lot of strength in order to do this. And you need to realize that the third dimension is literally just one giant big brain of consciousness. And if you want your own thoughts, if you want to be projecting your own information, if you want to be deliberately consciously choosing to emit higher forms of energy through these vessels in order to help serve as grounding points or obelisks, human obelisks, in order to spread consciousness to other vessels out there so that they can then expand and do the same thing, you're gonna have to sit with source. You're gonna have to get outside and ground, sit in a tree. There's a massive oak tree outside of my hospital, which I will soon be residing from. And when I sit in there, I become that. It becomes an extension of my third dimensional bodies, you know, and my soul, my source self syncs with it. And there's so much information within everything when you can do that. So much information, but like I said, that's to do with the soul and the spirit. And I'm going to actually get on that next, I believe, maybe, possibly. Don't hold your breath, because I've got quite a few emails. So, I'm Ryan, JC, and I'll speak to you guys pretty soon.